You are tuned to Anywhere the Needle Drops. Hey world, this is Justin. I am your host, and welcome to the show. We have got Chicago Farmer in the house today. Chicago Farmer Cody, aka Chicago Farmer. We will get to that in just a moment. Man, I've been thinking a lot about service these last few days. We are on the precipice of the launch of a large project here in Niles, Michigan, the launch of the Node. In fact, if you're hearing this, make sure you swing on to downtown Niles this weekend on Saturday, April 26th. We've got the grand opening of the Node, our new downtown gathering space. Going to be a lot of fun. Big events happening, live music, people gathering, just going to be a good time. And we were out there this past Saturday getting the space ready. You know, this has been a long, hard fought thing to get this place here. You know, there were some ugly politics and some folks choosing to go a negative way as opposed to a constructive way. But in the end, we built a thing. We made a thing. We've got a space for people to gather. We've got a place for joy and wonder, and it's going to be awesome. And so we were down there Saturday throwing together some furniture. You know, we had all this great fancy furniture we purchased for this space, and planters and storage sheds and all that stuff. And it was a day of volunteers just coming and going, putting in the time they could offer to help, you know, create this space. And then right across the street from us, the local contingent of folks working to help keep our Congress people responsible in keeping our president responsible. They were out there protesting, and you know, they've been out there pretty much weekly, I think, if not even longer. And it was just it's awesome to see them out there doing their thing. And you know, I wasn't able to join them because I was across the street doing my own contributing to the community, but it was great just having those two things happening at the same time within view of each other. And this is what we do, folks. We do the work to make things better. We do not despair. Yeah, that's what I got for you. Okay, enough of all of that. Let's get to the show. We have, again, as I said, Chicago Farmer, Midwest folk and roll, they say. Chicago Farmer was a musician I caught at the Acorn Music Fest last summer. It was Chicago Farmer and his band, The Field Notes, and they are coming back. They're going to be back out at the Acorn in Three Oaks on May 9th. I believe that is a Friday night, May 9th. So we thought, hey, let's get them into the room here and have a little chat, a little preview before they do the thing. So, I had a good chat with Cody about their current tour and just the wonders of Michigan and the Midwest, and a little bit of a coffee tangent. So, fun times, good chat. We got a song coming for you before the chat. That is their cut Indiana Line off their most recent album. And my chat with Cody, aka Chicago Farmer, follows that. Here's to life.
Well, come on, boys, I can see the light through the shadow of my doubt. I'll make a run at the sun tonight and be home for it's out. Pour some fuel on the fire and I'll make good time.
So, Cody, Chicago Farmer, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is exciting. I caught you guys last year at the Acorn when you were in for the music fest, and
Okay.
yeah, it was a great time. And I followed up with a bunch of the great acts that were there, and you guys have been on my list. So I thought, hey, you're coming back to town. This is the perfect timing. So
Right on. Thanks. Yeah, we absolutely love that venue. And it's actually the very first place we ever played as a band. It was our first gig.
no way. When was that?
Yeah, I think it was around 2019 or 2020. They had another type of kind of like an American music, Americana festival thing they put together. And I had known the booking agent there, Donnie Biggins, pretty well, so he asked us to be on it. And yeah, we were just a 4-piece then. We're a 5-piece now, but yeah, I mean, pretty unbelievable place for your first gig. Usually you have to play a dive before you get to play a place like the Acorn, so we're pretty fortunate.
Yeah, there's so many people even locally that still are kind of sleeping on that venue, and I'm like, guys, it's. I mean, I love going to Chicago. Don't get me wrong, but it's like there's a world class venue right here, and the best part is a show gets out, and 25 minutes, I'm back at my house. There's no
Yeah,
2 hour
really.
drive with traffic. There's no time difference. It's just boom, just like that. So I love the Acorn.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of our favorite places to play. It sounds so good, and the people are nice. And yeah, being so close to Chicago, but having that kind of Three Oaks small town vibe is it's really cool, especially for a guy who's from a town of 1,700 people who moved to Chicago. That's kind of it doesn't get much better.
Yeah, for sure. I bet. I never quite made the big move to the city like I always thought I was going to do as a kid. Because I grew up in a town called Bridgman, which is just a little bit north of Three Oaks.
Okay, nice.
And yeah, but I did do some wandering of the earth after my high school and early college days, and at some point it kind of hit me like an epiphany. I was like, man, people pay to go on vacation where I got to grow up, and I like tore out of there so quickly. Like, what was I thinking? So,
It's so true. Yeah, honestly, like when it comes to summertime, it's, Michigan, and especially in that area, it's like that's my wife's go-to place. We just absolutely love it.
oh
So,
yeah. Are you guys? So is it? Are you guys beach folks? Are you like hiking in the woods, or a little bit of both? What are you doing when you're up this way?
definitely a little bit of both. Our wedding anniversary is in mid-July, so we always try to find ourselves somewhere in that area in mid-July, and we just hit the beach and cruise up and around the small towns. And the water's cold, but it's water. We make it. We don't care. We make sure we get in every year, no matter how cold it is. We get in the water. So
That's right. Yeah, there's really no such thing as prime swimming season around here. Even in the depths of that August heat, it's it's hard to know for sure what you're gonna get. So
yeah, but we take the plunge. We make ourselves get in. So
you got to do
it's
it.
it's a little tradition.
Got to do it. Yeah, I'm training for an obstacle race that actually takes place on a beach up near Muskegon, and
Oh,
I got to
right
get
on.
out there and do some of that running in the sand, which I haven't done in a while. So we'll see how my body reacts to that.
Very nice. Well, I'm here. I live in central Illinois now, so it's very flat. We do have some pretty areas around here, and we do have a couple of lakes, but I don't know, something about getting sand in your feet in July and in the Midwest, it feels pretty good.
That's right. Got to do it. Got to do
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm surprised to hear you're even out there doing yard work because I was looking at your tour schedule. You guys are bopping around right now. So what's going on with the shows right now? What are you guys out there doing?
Yeah, so I've kind of been at this for about 20 years, being a folk singer. So I typically just played solo for forever, and then, like I said, about a little over 5 years ago, started putting together this band, and just to kind of mix it up a little bit, to kind of bring a different vibe, and to kind of put these songs and this poetry I write into like a different motion. And so in February, I did a tour down south, and then we just got back at it like at the end of March with the band, and hopped back in the van and started playing gigs. So far we've been to Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and we just played 2 nights in Chicago last week, and heading to St. Louis this week. And so we're kind of we're kind of getting back at it. It feels really good.
Well, yeah, as a a Midwestern band, you're definitely kind of hitting all the points of the Midwest there on that tour. That's what I looked at. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, about 12 years ago, I put out an album called Back and Forth, Illinois, and it was just kind of based on me like driving back and forth across the state of Illinois. And now we've moved up to back and forth Midwest, and pretty much going to be back and forth nationwide here a little bit. We do play Colorado, and we had in all directions really, but mostly our bread and butter and where we spend most of our times right here in the Midwest.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one beautiful thing. I talk to so many musicians that are able to make a career out of that. I don't think, I mean, obviously there are opportunities in rushing off to some of the big music cities and trying to bounce around the whole country or maybe even beyond. But there's something to be said for that career you can put together, right here at home.
Yeah, there's some great venues, and we've been very fortunate to not just hit the major cities. Like we just did Chicago and St. Louis and Indy, but also last week we went to Findlay, Ohio, like never been in my life. And turns out it's a great town and people love music there. And we went to Kokomo, Indiana.
Yeah.
Which isn't on a lot of people's tour schedules, but there's these venues just all over the Midwest, whether they're performing arts centers or a theater like the Acorn, or if they're just like a bar or a club. And it sometimes seems like those towns, the smaller towns, they're longing and really wanting music to come to their towns. And so when you do, they're just super happy and grateful for it. And so I think, yeah, you can pretty much just play the Midwest venues and stay pretty busy. I don't want to start sounding like a broken record to my fellow Midwesterners. So once in a while I got to travel outside of the Midwest, but for the most part, that's kind of where it relates the most. So it works.
Yeah, I saw on your tour schedule the town of Effingham, Illinois, which that's I don't think necessarily a destination on most people's radar, but I have a special place for Effingham in my heart.
Really?
I used to be married, and my wife at the time, she had grown up, her dad growing up, had one of those jobs that kind of took him all over the place. And then there's one point where they lived in Effingham, Illinois. So we were on a road trip to Texas to go see a friend's wedding. And we decided, hey, we'll stop by Effingham on the way. And,
oh, that's great.
You know what? We had the best time there too. It was
that's great.
Yeah. We met some locals. There's a little like a wine bar, wine shop kind of a place, and we stopped in there.
It's called Village Wine. I know
that's
it
the
well.
one. Yeah,
I know it well. So actually, I played their solo back at the end of January, and then
no way.
Yeah, and then we're playing a festival in June. And they're actually above that wine shop. There's like a big loft upstairs, and I play up there. So that's small world stuff right there.
That is, yeah. Who knew? Effingham, Illinois, bringing people together.
well, honestly, I didn't, and that's another thing I love about the music scene is because I used to just drive right through Effingham. I would maybe stop and get gas or something, but I didn't know anything going on there. And then I just happened to randomly meet some guy from Effingham, and his mission in life is to bring music to Effingham, Illinois, where he lives, because nobody else really was. And he started doing that. And his name's Bill Poss, and now he's got this thing called Poss Music Works, and they support local music, and they have open mics weekly at that wine bar you're talking about. And he has a festival, a couple festivals throughout the summer, and now it's really catching on. And so it's a small world. It's just a town I used to drive through, and now it's like I play there a few times a year, and people just love the music, like what I was saying before, and it grows. It just takes one person trying to do something in a community, and it starts to grow.
Yeah, for sure. That's amazing. I'll have to get back down there and check it out. That's great to hear. It's one of those towns where I don't know what the origin is, but it seems like it, maybe exists just because that's where a couple of freeways intersect, and
absolutely,
it's where some civilization sprung up, and hey, maybe now it's a great music destination. So
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a place. There's a speaking of water, a much smaller lake than the one up by you, but there's a lake. It's called Lake Sarah, and the festival's right on this lake. It's pretty cool. It's really beautiful.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I'll be taking a closer look at that festival and see if maybe I can worm my way down there. That'd be awesome. So
Effingham, Illinois is a destination.
that's right. You hear that, folks? Don't sleep on Effingham. Check it out. Check it out.
Not just a funny name. There's actually cool things that happen there too.
That's right. Yeah, I was talking to Robert Rolf Feddersen. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's got an album, and I'm drawing a blank on the name now that I'm going to tell this story. But he's got an album. It's like there's a town called, I don't know, like Rockville the name, kind of basically is like, it's like music town, but it's also one of these kind of just little towns in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, I'm going to name my album after that, and
Nice.
You got to love the Midwest, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think Ben Folds wrote a song called Effington. And it was actually Effingham, but he didn't want to say Effingham, so he called it Effington.
That's amazing. Okay.
He wrote it when he was passing through Effingham, I believe. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. All right. So good.
Eventually, I want to write a song about all the towns that have funny names in Illinois and just make one big long song out of it. So
that sounds like a concept album right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. All right, so these shows you're doing, throughout the spring, summer. These all with the full band. Or are you doing any solo stuff on that stretch?
No, mostly the spring is all full band. I'll do a few like concert series and things solo in the summer and whatnot, but we kind of do blocks where I do a couple months solo, and then we take a little break and then do a couple months with the band. It's kind of fun to go back and forth and do that. And then if I get sick of them, I go solo, and if I get sick of myself, then I call them up, and it's a great back and forth way to do it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when it comes to the writing process, does that have any effect on what you're writing? I mean, do you write music with the band, or do you write it all separately and just bring it to the band?
I pretty much write the songs and then I bring them to the band, and kind of like, in rehearsals when we get together is kind of where that magic happens. And I just bring a song, and, it just evolves from this thing of just me on an acoustic guitar to, this extra parts and extra sounds and accompaniment. And it's really a fun process. I love it. I sometimes what I think is going to happen happens, and then sometimes what I think is going to happen couldn't be any further from what actually happens once the band gets a hold of it. And so I'm usually surprised, and it's a fun process. But even though I write the songs, kind of everybody has a piece and put them together and kind of finding the puzzle pieces and what makes the right thing for each song. And it can be totally different. Like we have a song right now could totally go like a rock vibe, but we also like have mandolins and a fiddle and things like that in our band. So it can go either way, and maybe someday we'll do like they used to do, like in the grunge days, and have like an unplugged version of all of our songs or something like that. 'Cause we definitely can do that.
Yeah, for sure. But you're right in my sweet spot of what I love, though, because I grew up listening to my my parents' vinyl, and my dad, just had a ton of that, Southern rock and kind of stuff from the folk era, and of the '60s and whatnot, and so like that twang, but also melding into the rock and roll guitar. That speaks to me right there. So.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about our band is we just kind of hit you from all angles. We recorded a record that we're trying to finish up. It's in the mixing process now, and I think that's probably my thing I'm most proud of the record is no two songs really sound the same. And we just some of it's more in the twangy country bluegrass, and some of it's more a little bit like soulful, like rock and roll stuff. So it's fun to hit the crowd at shows too, with like a slow, like groovy, soulful song, and then come back and like just rip a honky tonk or a bluegrass song or something like that right after it, and keeps us on our toes. And I think it keeps the crowd on their toes too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So do we have a release date on that album yet, or what's the outlook like?
We're hoping for the end of the year. We tried to record it all at once, and we needed it. And we kind of had to go do a few more things that we were inspired to do, but hopefully by the end of the year. And now it's kind of like playing all these gigs to hopefully pay for it and get the artwork together. So it's a lot, but it's an exciting time to have it, getting really close. So it's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So, are we going to be hearing any kind of evolution on the sound or anything new coming from the new album? What are you guys going for there?
Yeah, I mean, since I think we probably played a few new songs at the Acorn last time, we got several more now. It's definitely still kind of song driven, and there's definitely that Americana feel in it, but we do get a little grungy and a little rocking on a couple of the songs, and definitely more than previous records. So I think people kind of know me as a folk singer-songwriter, and then kind of like the first song of the album is going to make you think that, and then we just kind of take a lot of chances and go in way different directions. We even have a song that's kind of funky on this one, where we've got like a clav playing and our keyboard player, and everybody gets a little funky on it, which I've never done anything funky before in my entire career. So yeah, we've got like a 6-minute story song, and then we've got like a 2-minute 45-second funk song. So we kind of gonna hit you from all angles, like we were saying.
Does that ever make you nervous when you kind of dip into a new sound, something you haven't done before?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember this one song that we did. It was kind of grungy, and there was kind of like some really wild, crazy guitar effects. And I was like, I don't know about this. But then I kept listening to it, and it grew on me. And now it's like my favorite song. So, you got to take chances. And like I said, that's kind of why I started this whole band, was just have a little more fun, but mostly to take chances and not be, just doing the same thing over and over and over and going through the motions. I wanted to take chances and try new things. And we're definitely doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Does it make you more nervous to, doing something different because of, just wondering if you can do it, or are you more nervous about like maybe your fan reaction and how they're going to react to something that they're not used to?
Well, I think I've always been a folk singer and a troubadour, and I just know that there's just like some kind of comfort in that I can just go on stage and for the most part, be comfortable. But, I've been in the position in the last 4 or 5 years where we'll go out and play a new song, and it won't be crickets, but it won't be like a loud roar from the crowd. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
But you need that. I think you need that. I think every artist needs that. Everybody needs to maybe bomb once in a while, and it's kind of humbling and sends you back to the drawing board. But yeah, I think you need to get out of your comfort zone. And then obviously you come back with a song that is going to land, but you got to put those questionable songs in the set list just to see what happens. And I don't want to. I think if you're playing it safe, you're playing the wrong game, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, in art we have to stretch ourselves because otherwise, what are we doing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you never know, Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, just like that song that I thought was a little too weird and off the beaten path of what I usually do. Maybe I didn't like it at first, but then it grew on me. So, and then like I said, now it's becoming one of my favorite songs. So maybe sometimes it takes a few listens to something. I've listened to other people's records on like the first spin through, and I was like, I don't really get that. And then I'll listen a few more times, or I'll go back to it, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I get it now. This is great. So
yeah,
that's the hope. That's the hope.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I have a rule when it comes to, checking out new albums. I have to listen to it at least twice before I'm drawing my conclusion and saying,
Yeah,
no, I don't like it. It's not for me. Because most of those times on that second or third listen, you start to really connect with something on there and you get what it's about. And
sure.
yeah, yeah. And those songs that maybe don't land the first time out in the live setting. I mean, maybe after a couple of times people get to know the lyrics, and sometimes people just want to sing along,
Yeah,
that's why we
yeah,
like the stuff we're comfortable with, but
absolutely.
you know, it's
Yeah,
good.
that's it. That's the other thing we've been focused on a lot lately is, I've been doing this forever. I got songs from forever ago, and not only are we working on new songs and bringing that to the table, we also kind of like restructured and revamping like old songs, which is pretty cool, And so I'm excited about that. So just kind of like everything's just kind of fresh right now. It feels good. It feels good to like have a refresh with everything. New material, redoing old material. It's got a good kind of vibe. It's spring. It's kind of like a new beginning for everything. So
Hey, indeed, right? Yeah.
I'm digging that.
So when you say refreshing old material, what kind of tweaks are you making?
Well, a lot of these older songs, too, I'm bringing to the band for the first time, so they're kind of like my audience knows them and I know them. But like, we just played 2 nights in Chicago last weekend, so we wanted to play 2 nights in a row without repeating any songs. So I kind of went way back in my catalog and pulled out a couple like really old school songs that I've only played with just me and my acoustic guitar and my harmonica. And so now the band's playing them and adding their instrumentation to it and their perceptions of the song and so it just took on a whole new life, playing these old songs with the band now.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's go back a little bit since this is your first time on the show. We can do a
Sure.
little of the origin story. So what kind of tunes were playing in your house? What were you listening to, or what were your family, your parents listening to when you were growing up?
Definitely the Beatles. Like most, you probably get that answer a lot, but I mean, when you hear that for the first time, it's definitely a game changer, I think. My dad's favorite band of all time was 10 Years After. I don't know if you're familiar with 10 Years After, but
I don't believe so. No.
a great band from kind of that same era. And my dad loved to sing. He was in a band called Remedy. They didn't last too long, but my dad was a very free spirited guy. And so he was really into music, and he always wanted to like be in charge and not have someone telling him what to do. He had kind of a rock and roll spirit, I guess, if you would say. His first business was a head shop in Pekin, Illinois. It was called the Freak Boutique. And then his second business, he started selling cowboy boots and Western wear. He started his own cowboy boot store. And he always was just wanted to be like self-made person, do his own thing. And I think that spirit's come through in my music quite a bit, even more than like the music they listen to. It's just kind of like their spirit. And then both sets of my grandparents were farmers, so kind of their work ethic and their spirit and drive really motivated my songs. And my grandpa used to play piano and guitar and bugle, so there was music around, not like on popular radio or anything like that. I come from a town of 1,700 people, so I lived in the country. We had 4 TV channels, and the radio stations just were playing, pretty much pop music when I grew up. So it really took till I got older in high school, started hanging out with the unruly crowd, that I started really digging the music that inspired me the most.
Yeah, for sure. So at what point are you picking up a guitar or, hopping next to the grandparents on the piano?
I think not till about 16 or 17. I was kind of very sports driven before that. And then I started writing in high school study halls. We used to have a lot of study halls being in a small town. And a lot of times we would sleep and goof off. But one day I just started writing. I kind of went in these little adventures in my head. And when I got back, I started writing them down, and then I started making them rhyme. So really all the writing and everything came first. Kind of the poetry came first. And then one year ended up getting a guitar and kind of started putting the poetry into motion and started playing in a garage with a couple friends and just absolutely the worst thing you ever heard of in your life. But it was fun. I had this kind of like, I was really, really into sports and things like that. And then this kind of whole creativity bug just kind of hit me and never really stopped. It's like still going, fortunately, after all these years.
Yeah, for sure. And from how you describe your dad, it seems like he probably wouldn't even have batted an eye when you're moving toward this career in music. Is that right?
Yeah, no, he was always my biggest supporter. He's not with us anymore, unfortunately, but him and my mom were supportive just like from the get-go. And they found one of my notebooks in my bedroom, and there was some pretty weird stuff in there, that I was writing about. And most parents probably would have freaked out, but my parents were like, if this is what you enjoy, keep at it. But if you want to do this, you're really gonna have to keep at it. So I did. I'm very fortunate in that way. I have a lot of friends who are musicians or songwriters who didn't have the support of their parents, and it just made it a lot easier knowing that they kind of had my back, and I think we all knew that what kind of a struggle and a longer road it would be, but just having their support and saying go for it made a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So do you have like a music community, fellow musicians, either where you are or just, like when you're out working the road, that you can commiserate with and celebrate with on the adventures of being a full-time musician?
Yeah, so my two of my bandmates just live like 45 minutes away from me, and then the other two are just a couple hours north in Chicago. So we're kind of scattered all over Illinois. So we hang out a lot, and there's a great music scene here in Central Illinois. And whenever we play for typically like this weekend, we just played in Chicago, and we had like some really good friends play the show with us, kind of like open up the show. And we've been doing it so long. We've got friends all over the Midwest and just some incredibly talented and amazing musicians and people. So that's the other cool thing about traveling around, is getting to meet up with all of our buds, in other bands and stuff. And yeah, I feel like the Midwest music scene is really, really pretty happening. Some great stuff happening.
Oh yeah, 100% agree. I mean, it seems like we're moving. Maybe the next phase of things is going to be less so that there's going to be a single music city, and it's going to be more like music regions.
Right? Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I mean, where I'm at here, I'm in this little corner of Michigan, Indiana, right across the border. We've got what's going on in South Bend and
yeah.
over here, and up into Kalamazoo area, Grand Rapids area. Just the number
Absolutely.
of Michigan bands are phenomenal.
Yeah, that is a great spot. And then just over on the other side, you got the Arc in Ann Arbor, and yeah, from there to Kalamazoo's not far at all. There's some great, really cool spots and places. I love that. I'm kind of like we were talking about earlier, Effingham. Like I live in Bloomington, Illinois, so there are several interstates that connect through here too. So I'm just a couple hours from Chicago, St. Louis, Indy, Davenport. And then, yeah, like, to Three Oaks, I'm not far at all. Like a 3-hour drive's kind of nothing for us anymore. So
sure, yeah.
all these spots are, within reach, very within, close reach. So it's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, and so many of them are located, on these spots, like you mentioned, along freeways or whatnot. So it's not too terrible to, you're on your way to maybe a bigger city, bigger venue, but hopping off the road and stopping into something a little quieter, a little more intimate, and having that experience too. So.
Yeah, our band is extremely addicted to coffee, so we're on coffee tour when we're on tour too. So we hit up every coffee shop in the Midwest. We pretty much know them all, and the cafes and everything. And so we support as many of those independent spots as we can too along the way.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm a huge coffee nerd. You found any favorites out there on the road?
Oh man, right here in Bloomington, we have the Coffee Hound. They have 2 locations. We're a twin city. There's one in each town. So those are my favorites here locally. Let's see here. Up by you guys, I can't remember what the coffee shop is in Three Oaks, but it's very good. I'll be honest, I spend probably more time at the Journeyman Distillery than I should when I'm in Three Oaks, but
that's the danger of visiting this area. We've got Journeyman, and then we've got how many breweries and wineries. You could lose your day real quick. So,
it's funny. Many years ago, I was trying to drink a lot less alcohol, and so I decided I would do like a coffee shop tour. And it started in Wisconsin. And in Wisconsin, like pretty much every coffee shop has beer. So my plan didn't work very well, but that's all right.
That seems like a very Wisconsin thing. That's for sure.
Yeah, Milwaukee has 2. One's called Anodyne Coffee and one's called Collectivo. And they both had great coffee. And they're like venues that like have that are in like coffee houses, and they're not like your typical coffee house vibe either. They're pretty good sized rooms. Those are 2 of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, that's excellent. So do you ever get to, I don't know if this is the one you're thinking of, but when you're up this way, Infusco Coffee, it's actually a town over in Sawyer, Michigan.
I know of Sawyer. You recommend?
I would highly recommend Infusco. Yeah, they are probably my go-to for local coffee. And if you are a coffee nerd, when you can walk into a winery and you talk about, what do they say, mouthfeel and all the different flavors and whatnot. Those people will do that with coffee to the point where they're like, if you're having this roast, this is the way you prepare it. If you're having that roast, that's the way you prepare it. So, you better have your French press or your AeroPress or like any of 9 different, forms of making coffee, because it matters, to them.
That's amazing. I'm going to take my 2 guys in my band. They're way more hardcore than me. I'm kind of just like a black coffee drinker, but I like it good. But they're hardcore. That sounds right up their alley. Definitely. They're borderline snobbish when it comes to coffee. So
yep, that's their home right there. They'll be glad. And then they're right across the street, or just about across the street from Greenbush Brewing, if you know them, the brewery, which is fantastic. So you can check off a few boxes by visiting Sawyer right there. So
fantastic. I have seen that on the map and signs for it, but I don't think we've ever popped into Sawyer, so we'll have to do that.
Oh yeah, it's a way of life up here. It's good times, yeah. So
well, I think from Three Oaks we are heading up to Grand Rapids, so that sounds perfect.
Nice, yeah. So how long are you guys in town when you're here?
Just for the show that day and that night, and then we're heading to Grand Rapids after that. We kind of after doing this so long, just touring weeks at a time, it's just kind of took a toll. So now we kind of do the Thursday, Friday, Saturday kind of thing, and then we go home and kind of regroup and do laundry and clean out the van, and then do it all again the next week. And I find it to be quite a lot easier on our bodies and our heads to do it that way. So,
yeah.
We did a tour last year. We went all the way out to Walla Walla, Washington and back. And it was great. There, not every night was fantastic, but a lot of the nights were really good. Some went surprisingly well. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to be on the road for like three weeks or a month, So, and we might have to do it again when the album comes out. But for now, we're trying not to hurt ourselves, and we're trying to keep our minds and our bodies in better, a little bit better shape. So it's just the way it works better for us these days.
Yeah, I think sometimes you've got to push hard into that grind, but I think we err a little too far that direction in this culture, in any kind of business, whether it's music or anything else. And there is something to be said for rest and refilling the tank a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I have mad props for a lot of these folks who are out there just doing it night after night. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I think everybody needs a break from from life and work from time to time just to reset. And, you know, I'm just not as young as I used to be to get after it. All I really want to do is play, but the travel, it was also what I love. I mean, I'm a troubadour for life, but yeah, I just got to pull back once in a while.
Yeah, definitely.
And really, it's so, you know, it's not easy. I'm very fortunate to kind of have been doing this for a while and have established kind of a following. But, you know, these young bands now, it's so much even more difficult now than it used to be. So, you know, if you really want to make a living at it and do this as a band, I mean, you kind of have to really get yourself out there, you know. You just playing a couple nights a week, if you're a new young band of five-piece band, it all the things that come in go back out pretty quickly, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's great when you get to the point like yourselves, or like I'm always impressed with you know, like Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers and some of those bands who have just built up this loyal fan base over the years, and they can live on that. But yeah, if you're a new up and coming band, you've got to get out there above, you know, there's so much music out there and so much other stuff to compete with, you know, and build that up.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, like in the pandemic too, to kind of have that following. And I remember just, you know, that being obviously a really ridiculously tough time. But then I thought about, you know, like new bands trying to just survive. Like we did, like, you know, the live streaming or whatever shows and stuff like that, and help keep us afloat. But yeah, I think it's like that with everybody of the generation behind me, really starting your own business or starting to the life of music, or an artist, or, you know, from farming to opening a coffee shop. It's just so much harder right now than it ever has been to sustain those things. So my props to people out there, you know, trying to make that happen, because I know how difficult it is.
Yeah. Has any of that altered how you release your music? You know, I mean, I know the big talk these days is it's kind of a singles game versus an album game. Are you adjusting at all? Are you feeling pretty solid and just kind of doing things like you always have?
I'm still plugging away. I'm kind of old school, and I haven't really released an album since 2020. So I'm just like, I want to release like a real album, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I am at the merch table, you know, and people do they really do want vinyl records, and some people even do want CDs. So I don't think we'll definitely do vinyl records when this record comes out, and we'll definitely do CDs, probably not as many CDs, but I think there are people out there who still dig that stuff and want that tangible thing, you know, which is great. And, you know, over the last 5 years, I guess, you know, my Spotify's spins have gone up, and that helps. But to be honest, you know, that pays a couple bills. It doesn't pay the rent. You know what I mean? So I think you just have to get creative these days. And it's kind of like one of my least favorite things to do is to, you know, I'm not an influencer, man. You know? And it's like, oh, this show's not selling a lot of tickets. I got to go get in front of my phone and do a little bit to try to bump tickets. It's like, I can't stand that stuff. But, you know, it's part of it. It's part of the job. You got to do it. So, you know, and it helps. You know, it really does work. But we all want to just play music and play gigs. But, you know, just like any other job, there's so much more to it.
Oh, yeah. That's, I think, the one thing that I see close up in this work that I do that maybe a lot of people out there just as listeners don't see, but just the amount of time that goes into logistics and promotion and planning and all of that. It's not just writing music and playing music. I mean, there is such a machine you have to build to, you know, make this thing a sustainable career.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, like I said, I think that's the way it is with any job, though. You know, I think of like a teacher. You know, teachers pretty much have to buy their own supplies, and they have to prepare, and they do things that are not, they do so much that's not in like the job description, just like, you know, so many other jobs. I'm kind of like a full-time driver. I feel like sometimes I'm a full-time driver who stops and plays gigs at places along the way. So, but
Hey, it's all for the love of it, right?
yeah. And I'm kind of old school, the internet has done really amazing things for my career. I mean, when you see the little Spotify like printouts or whatever, there's people all over the world like listening to my songs. That's pretty cool. That really couldn't happen without the internet,
Yeah.
And I'm only getting paid, maybe to pay for to keep the lights on and a few other bills from here and there. But there's something about it too that's special that allows that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, most people in this work, they're not doing it to get rich. It's again, it's for the love of it. And if you can pay your bills making your art, that's a special thing.
Yeah, I'm very blessed, very grateful.
Yeah. All right, so we've got you guys rolling into town on I believe it's May 9th. You're going to be at the Acorn. So anything special you guys got in store for us that night?
We're going to play a bunch of new songs that are going to be on the new album. And then, like I said, some old school Chicago Farmer classics that you've never heard anybody play except for me. But now there's going to be 4 other people playing it with me. So I think it's pretty exciting. So if you've seen us at the Acorn before, expect more new songs and the sing-alongs that you come to expect. And also, like a revamping of some of the old material. So it sounds so good in there, and just all the people there, the volunteers, they're so cool, and like they're so welcoming. It's such a great vibe.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that festival last year was so much fun. So much great music, and again, like you said, just a great venue. It sounds great. It's cozy, comfortable. I've had such a great time, my working relationship with them, doing what I do, and just our local music scene is so much the better for them being here.
Yeah, that's what it takes, really. It's and to get back what we were talking about, how difficult it is to be the music artist life. I mean, these venues, man, they're amazing. I mean, they're kind of like our lifeline for us. They're literally like our homes away from home when we travel and go play. And the Acorn's definitely one of the top of our list that makes us feel right at home when we get there.
Yeah, definitely. And, in those difficult grinds of the tour and whatnot, that can make all the difference in the world, really. Just having a place that welcomes you, makes you feel like you're at home, takes care of you.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of folks know how difficult it is to own a venue. I kind of know now. My bass player, Charlie, he owns a venue in Urbana, Illinois, called the Rose Bowl Tavern. It's the greatest tavern in the world. I love it. And
nice.
But there's so much people don't know about a venue, all the red tape and the publishing and all the expenses. It's so much. And just like us, they're not doing it to get rich. They're doing it for the love of community and music and experience as well. So we're all in it together.
Indeed. Yep. All for the love of the music. So
right.
Well, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to the show when you guys get here. Anything we missed that you want to make sure the folks here listening want to know about?
You can go see our full schedule at chicagofarmer.com, and we hope you can join us at the Acorn. We've got a bunch of new shirts and posters and all the fun stuff we bring. My wife also, she tours with us sometimes. She comes along and slings the merch, and she also makes guitar string jewelry. So instead of guitar strings going into a landfill, my wife takes them and turns them into pendants and earrings. And it's really cool. It's called Twice Upon a String. You can check that out at twiceuponastring.com. So along with the traveling music, we have kind of like a traveling art fair too sometimes.
Oh, so, that's fantastic. We'll put that in the show notes. So you guys jam a little too hard and pop those strings, and then she takes them and makes a thing happen with them.
That's right. It's really cool. And,
I love it.
Yeah, and she gets strings from all over the country, and a few Michigan bands. Green Sky Bluegrass still sends her some strings once in a while.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
She has this thing where like all of her friends, when they change their strings, they put them in an envelope and they mail them to her, and then she, instead of throwing them away. So it's a cool thing. It's kind of like another all over the Midwest things that people contribute to. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, Cody, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thank you so much. We can't wait to be back in the area.
Yeah, definitely. And, and for everyone listening out there, even if you can't make the Acorn show, take a look at the website in the show notes, because there's so many Midwest shows to choose from. I mean, definitely something within the range of driving to check out. So maybe even a few. Go check out Chicago Farmer a few times this year,
Oh yeah, there's prizes if you come to more than one. I don't know what it is yet, but it is.
Punch cards, right?
That's right, punch
Yeah.
cards. That's a great idea.
There you go. Yeah. I once, do you remember the band Veruca Assault from the 90s grunge era out of
Absolutely.
Chicago? Yeah. I was I had a bit of an obsession with them in my years right out of high school. My buddy and I, we just sort of followed them across most of the Midwest and beyond on their tour. And we had a sign we made on a piece of poster board that we just updated with the mileage every single show we went to. And,
That's cool.
That's those good rock and roll times. So maybe, yeah, if you go to more than one Chicago Farmer show, let them know how many miles you traveled. So
I think you're onto something there. I like it.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
All right, Cody. Well, thank you again. Good luck with everything, and yeah, looking forward to seeing the show.
Thank you so much for doing what you do. It's great talking to you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. You take care. All right.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
You've been listening to Anywhere the Needle Drops from Red Chuck Productions. Keep up on new episodes of this show, our live events, and various creations and other happenings over at redchuckproductions.com or by following us on social media at Red Chuck Productions. Special thanks to Hero Jr. for our theme music. You can check them out over at herojuniormusic.com. That is Hero, Hero, Junior, JR, music.com. A big shout out to Paul Clemson and Theory One Productions for handling sound duties and so much more. Check out their magic over at theory1productions.com. And a big thank you to Earthworks Audio for outfitting the Red Chuck studio. See their microphones and their other products over at earthworksaudio.com. Be sure to support all of our guests by visiting their websites, social media, clicking that subscribe button, seeing them live, and checking out their merch stores. Give musicians and artists your money. We'll be back with the next episode. Until then, thank you for your time. Here's to life.